Today we're getting into something deeply personal and I think really crucial. We are tackling the practice of learning to love yourself every single day.
Right. And this isn't just fluffy self-help. This is foundational stuff.
It's completely foundational. It impacts every decision, every relationship, and, every moment of genuine peace you get to experience.
And crucially, we're not talking about loving yourself only when things are going great, when life is giving you high fives and you've hit all your goals.
No.
We mean unconditional love, the kind you extend on the chaotic days, the unproductive days, and especially the messy days when you feel like you've just failed completely.
Because that's the real test. And when we synthesize the sources on this, of research, the psychological studies one, overwhelming tension just kept coming up.
And what was that?
Most of us are dramatically, profoundly better at extending grace and compassion to other people than we are to ourselves.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. If you are someone who is, routinely your own harshest critic.
Your most relentless critic.
Yeah, if you hold yourself to standards you would never, ever impose on a friend, then this material is specifically for you.
So our mission today is to extract the key insights. We need to really define what unconditional self-love is, understand why it's so difficult, and then give you practical steps to actually put it into practice. Let's do this.
Okay, let's unpack this term self-love because it is so popular right now. It almost feels diluted. There's a huge amount of confusion out there.
It's true. When we say self-love, a lot of people jump to these external ideas. The common misconception is that it means you have to be confident all the time.
Right, or never feel insecure.
Exactly, or that you're always aggressively putting yourself first, no matter what the consequences are for other people.
That just sounds exhausting, frankly.
Yep.
If that were the requirement, I don't think any of us would ever achieve it.
Not at all. And what we found in the readings is that real self-love is rarely loud or flashy. It's quiet. It's an internal thing.
And it's defined not by your accomplishments, your job title, or your bank account, but by how you talk to yourself in that moment after you inevitably mess up.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The core definition across the literature, it really boils down to a choice. A fundamental choice you make minute by minute.
The choice to do what?
Self-love is the act of choosing not to punish yourself for being human. It's an election you make again and again to just drop the whip.
I appreciate that framing because it immediately separates self-love from, say, self-indulgence. If I make a bad mistake, I still need to be accountable for it.
Absolutely not. This isn't about delusion or letting yourself off the hook. It's about separating the action from the self.
Okay, I see.
Accountability addresses the action. Self-love addresses the self. The profound insight is that quiet affirmation that says, I am flawed. I made a mistake, but I'm still worthy of basic kindness.
And that kindness has to start with me.
It has to. It's swapping out that harsh judgment for just honest, compassionate observation.
So if the definition is that straightforward, just choosing not to punish ourselves, why is this such a huge struggle for so many people? Where does that conditionality even come from?
Well, if we zoom out, the fundamental challenge is developmental. Most of us grew up learning, either implicitly or, explicitly, that love was conditional.
We learned it was something you had to earn.
Exactly. We internalize what the research calls the performance trap.
The performance trap. Tell us more about that.
It's the idea that praise or warmth or recognition was often only given out when we performed well, when we behaved well or achieved something.
So you get a perfect grade, you hear praise, you make your parents proud, you feel safe.
Precisely. And this creates an internal mandate, a rule that says, I must perform to be worthy of acceptance.
And the psychological result of that is it's just devastating.
Yeah.
Because we internalize it. We learn to love ourselves only when we feel good enough.
And good enough is this moving target based on whatever we did in the last hour.
You never get to just be.
Never. And then, on top of that wiring from childhood, we hit adulthood and run into the second major hurdle of the modern world.
Such is.
Comparison culture, and social media is the engine that just drives it relentlessly.
It's a relentless engine, yeah. Because you're sitting there comparing the complete reality of your life, which is messy and unfinished and sometimes boring.
And always contains failures.
Always. And you're comparing that to someone else's perfectly polished, filtered highlight reel.
A reel that is specifically curated to get validation. So the problem isn't the comparison itself, it's the metric. We're measuring our messy insides against someone else's polished outside.
And that just leads to this constant feeling of being inadequate, like you're always behind.
Always playing catch up.
So the crucial takeaway here for anyone listening is Look, it's simple, but it's powerful. Your worth is not something you have to earn. It's inherent.
It just is. It's a constant of your existence.
Okay, so let's get practical. Because the most accessible place to fight this battle is our self-talk, isn't it? That inner voice.
It's everything. I mean, we really need to point out the striking contrast here. Think about this for a second. Really think about it.
Okay.
Most of us would never, ever dare to talk to a friend or a child with the level of cruelty and criticism that we use on ourselves inside our own heads.
Oh, absolutely not. We reserve our worst language for ourselves.
And that's exactly where the work of self-love begins. Not with some grand gesture, but just with catching those quick negative thoughts, the ones that flash by before you even notice them. Awareness is step one.
And when you catch it, you have to shift it. The sources give a great example of this. So if your inner voice jumps to, I always mess things up, I'm such a failure.
That global, harsh statement.
Exactly. The mechanism is to try and reframe that. Shift it to something kinder and frankly more true. Like, I made a mistake here and I'm learning as I go.
And the reason that reframing works is so important. When the thought is emotionally charged, like, I am a failure, your brain goes into a defensive fight-or-flight mode.
You can't learn from there.
You can't learn, you can't grow. But when you shift to an objective observation, I'm learning as I go, you move back into the cognitive problem-solving part of your brain.
So it's not about pretending the failure doesn't happen. It's about making it survivable, useful even.
Yes, it moves you from paralyzing judgment to active correction. It's not about lying to yourself. It's simply about being fair to yourself, as fair as you'd be to a friend.
Okay, so this is where it gets really important. Because anyone can feel good about themselves on a good day, right? The sun is shining, you got the promotion. But the true test of unconditional self-love, that's practicing it on the hard days.
Absolutely. Those days when you are just running on empty, when you're unmotivated or you've hit a wall or you're just genuinely disappointed in yourself.
That's when the default is to get self-punishing.
It is. And the source material breaks down what self-love looks like in those moments. And it's usually counterintuitive to our hustle culture.
How so?
Well, first, it means choosing rest instead of pushing through exhaustion just to meet some arbitrary standard.
And that rest isn't a reward you get after you finish the whole to-do list.
No, the sources frame rest as a necessary act of maintenance. It's not a prize for performance. That distinction is huge.
It is huge.
Okay, what else?
Secondly, it looks like setting a boundary instead of falling into people-pleasing. You know, you might be exhausted, but your friend needs a favor. Self-love is recognizing your limit and compassionately saying, I can't right now.
That's a hard one for so many people.
It is. And third, it's allowing yourself to just feel sad or disappointed without immediately rushing to fix it or distract yourself.
Or just burying it under endless scrolling. Exactly. It's acceptance. Unconditional self-love says, this feeling is part of being human. I'm allowed to feel this without judging the feeling itself.
It's such a relief to internalize that you are allowed to have off days, days where you're at 50% capacity or even 10%.
And those days don't define who you are?
They just define your energy on a Tuesday afternoon. It separates your output from your identity.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, let's talk implementation. Let's make this actionable for everyone listening. We need small, realistic habits, things that aren't overwhelming.
The literature identified 4 really simple daily practices. And the first one is maybe the most fundamental.
What is it?
Keep small promises to yourself. This is all about building self-trust because trust is built on evidence.
This is more profound than it sounds, isn't it? If you keep telling yourself you'll go for that walk and you don't, you erode your belief in yourself.
You do. But if you say you'll take the trash out before bed and you actually do it, that simple act builds a tiny piece of self-integrity. It proves to your brain you're reliable.
I love that. Okay, what's the second practice?
Speak kindly to yourself, especially when you fail. We've talked about reframing, but this is about actively replacing that internal condemnation with curiosity.
And the third?
Ask yourself, what do I need today? Not what the world expects, not what you should be doing. What do you actually need? Is it quiet? Is it a good meal? Is it connection?
We so rarely ask that question.
We don't. And finally, the fourth practice is to celebrate progress, not perfection. Perfection is an impossible goal designed to keep you on that conditional treadmill.
But progress is real.
Progress is real, it's measurable, and it's internal. Acknowledging the small steps forward reinforces your worthiness and tells your brain, I see you trying.
So when we wrap this all up, what's a core philosophy? It seems to be that self-love isn't about becoming some brand new, perfect version of yourself.
No, it's about accepting who you are right now, in this moment, complete with all your flaws and mistakes while you're still in the process of growing.
You simply do not have to be perfect to be worthy of love.
And you certainly don't have to be perfect to be worthy of your own love, which is the only constant source of validation you'll ever truly have.
So to leave you with something to think about long after this deep dive ends, we want to invite you into a final moment of reflection. These questions come directly from the source material.
If you have a quiet moment, just let these two questions sit with you.
The first question is, when do I judge myself the most? What are the specific situations or mistakes that trigger that harsh internal critic?
Just try to pinpoint the moment. And the second question, building on that, is what would compassion look like in that exact moment?
What would genuine, non-punishing compassion look like?
You don't need the answers right now. Just asking the questions creates awareness. And that awareness, that's the beginning of the practice.
Learning to love yourself is a daily practice, not a destination.